Hello, I'm Kenny Montoya, and today I'm here to talk about how the human rights come out, and I will present a brief story over time. First of all, in 539, Cyrus the Great conquered the city of Babylon, freed slaves to return home, and declared that people should have a choice in their religion. The event is considered by many to the world's first charter of human rights in history. Prior to this, people had rights based on membership to a group, such as family, for example. This event served as an inspiration to the civilizations of India, Greece, Rome, cultures that are known these days for their contributions to the rights and freedoms. And in 2015, uh, a great first step in long journey of human rights, a document like this will not come out to be for another 1,000 years. And this is the Magna Carta. Then in, 1215, the Carta Magna, translated from Latin to mean the Great Charter, was issued by King John of England. And this document too was a big step for the rights because it established that the king was in fact subject to the law despite a long history of actions without consequences. This was written a long time ago when monarchies were commonplace, and so it is still relevant because many clauses are no longer applicable to the modern times. However, the chapter still holds timeless fundamental values such as the right to justice and fair trial. And in 1628, the petitions of rights yet again process is made, but another 1400 years goes by with a little focus on what establishes rights for the people. And in 1628, the Petition of Rights set out the rights and liberties for commoners as opposed to British Crown. And the English Parliament demanded to no taxations without parliamentary consent, no imprisonment without a reason, no quartering soldiers, and no martial law in a peacetime. And in 1708, the Declaration of the Rights of Man, inspired by the Declaration of the Independence of the England and born the French Revolution. The Declarations of the Rights of the Man and of the Citizens explains a list of natural and inalienable rights such as security, ownership, freedom, and the resistance to oppression. And in 1954 to 1968, one of the most powerful moments to date happened between this era and the fight that still continues for the equality in 2021. The modern civil rights movement was a decade-long movement with the goal of securing legal rights for African Americans. As a result of the passing of laws giving more rights to the African Americans during the Reconstruction, Jim Crow laws were established throughout the South, and the other discriminatory laws were passed in the North. And the civil rights movement culminated with the passage of federal laws beginning discrimination against African American in US, including the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act in 1964, and with the Nobel Prize. There was to the Martin Luther King was the leader in that moment, and he won this Nobel Prize for his work and will become one of the most well-known human rights activists in the story. And in 1965, the International Convention of the Eliminations of All the Forms of Racial Discrimination was a response to the civil rights movement, and well, was in the United Nations General Assembly adopt the International Convention, as I said before, on the elimination of all the forms of racial discrimination. And well, the convention is considered a generational human rights instrument that aims to eradicate racial having and instead to hydrate combat prejudice and which lead to racial discrimination and guarantee the enjoyment of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights without discrimination. And well, the International Bill of Rights happened in 1966 and was inspired by the French Declaration. A proposal of the Declaration of the Essential Rights of Man in an early stage was proposed, but it was not until 1966 that the proposal was completed and put it into existence. And well, the International Convent of Economical, Social, and Cultural Rights, the International Convent on Civil and Political Rights, the Universal Declarations of Human Rights, and the Opinion Protocols to the International Convent of the Civil and Political Rights. Well, the bill influenced the actions and the decisions of state actors, non-state actors, and the government priorities of carry out of international, local, and national law and policy. 3 years later, the American Convention of Human Rights was adopted with similar priorities. And well, in 1979, and the name of the previous document mentioned is not surprised that the following document is created. And this is what groups come to mind as being included in a society. Women are not normally thought of the first, and well, the convention, the elimination of all the forms against women is the only treaty that recognizes tradition and culture as modeling factors of family relations and gender roles, and guarantee the reproductive rights of women. And described as International Bill of Rights of Women, and it is international legally binding treaty adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, and it defines discrimination against women as any distinction, exclusion, and restriction made on one of the basis of sex, which has the effect of or purpose of impairing or nullifiing the recognition, enjoyment, and exercise by women in respective or the marital status, one of the bases of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, and cultural, civil, or many other file. The convention was ratified by 189 countries and promotes equal rights for the woman. And well, in 1981, the African Chapter of Human Rights, and as an Africa contains so many countries and people, the establishment of the African Chapter of Human Rights made important progress. That's because it promotes and protects human rights and basic freedoms in the African continent. Along with the Charter, the Organization of African Unity, it designs that freedom, equality, justice, and dignity are essential objectives for the achievement of the legitimate aspiration of the African peoples. And well, in 1984, the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, and Inhuman or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, sorry, yes, were daily, and well, that's why, because in the 80s and 90s, there were deadly civil wars, and the First and the Second World Wars, and then the Cold War and the Vietnam War, etc., in which torture methods were used frequently and widely. And well, this Convention Against Torture and the Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment, the Human Rights Treaty, under the review of the United Nations, that aims to prevent torture and other acts of cruel punishment around the world. Major topic of discussions include the definition of torture, universal jurisdictions, international implementation, and the undertakings of states Paris. And in 1989, other group that can be often overlooked in society and measures, and that's why we talk about the Convention of the Rights of Child. And many people think that child as being the property of their parents when this certainly is not the case. And in 1989, Convention of the Rights of the Child was adopted by the United Nations. It established the civil, political, economic, social, health, and cultural rights of children, a group whose rights are largely overlooked. This treaty sets forth of the idea that children are their own individuals with rights and not in the fact the property of their parents. Children must be allowed to play, develop, grow, learn, and flourish. They are, after all, the future. And the convention is the most ratified human rights treaty in the history. And 196 countries are party to it, including every member of the United Nations, except yet again the United States. And in the other hand, in 1993, the World Conference of Human Rights held by the United Nations in Vienna, Austria, from the 14th to 25th of June in 1993. The World Conference of Human Rights was the first human rights conference held since the end of the Cold War. The main of the result of the conference was Vienna Declaration and Program of an Action, a plan that stressed human rights around the world. Additionally, the conference took additional steps to promote the rights of neglected groups in the society, indigenous peoples, women, and children. And in 2011, the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights Education and Training. And what is most recently of the agenda in the fight for human rights? The United Nations Declaration of Human Rights Education and Training was established in 2011 and asserts that everyone has the right to know, seek, and receive information about their human rights and fundamental freedoms in order to promote universal respect for human rights. Education training in this area is essential, and everyone should have access to education of human rights. And this is why the work of the United Nations is too important. And for this is everything for my part. I hope that I can bring you a lot of information and important essential information about the history of the human rights to the actually. And this is everything for my part. Thank you for your attention. See you next time. Bye.